Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm going to talk about expanding on a LinkedIn post I did recently. I recently made a post about effectively it is very easy to get a job, relatively quickly in this current job market. Even though it is flooded, it is highly competitive, but most people are getting in their own way. And that's why I say it's easy, is if they get out of their own way, it'll be so much easier for you. So with that, let's dive in. So the thing to realize is what is actually happening in the market. Why is the market so flooded, so competitive? Let's put politics aside because, yes, there are economic factors and things outside of our control. But it's exactly that. It's outside of your control. Not worth talking about, not worth mentioning. Focus on what is in your control and ignore everything else. Second thing, kind of piggybacking off of that. Stop blaming something else other than yourself. That is the most unempowering or disempowering thing that you could do for yourself. Every time that you go, it's the government's fault. It's inflation's fault. It's that hiring manager's fault. Blah, 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 blah. You are not setting yourself up to grow and be successful in this job search and achieving your next steps. Okay? Those are the first two things to just squash, get out of the way. Stop shooting yourself in the foot or even your feet because you can't move that way. You're just either going to go in circles or you're going to stay in place. Okay, now let's dive into what is actually happening in the market. Is it highly competitive? Yes. Why is it highly competitive? Well, there's three factors. You have the economic factor. Again, we said there's no point talking about it because it's just not worth talking about. You can't do anything about it. Second, careers are dying. They're being replaced when it comes to technology such as AI and digital transformation. Okay, so that's one. And even if it's not being replaced, workforces are being augmented to act beyond their current quantity of headcount to the point where they don't need as much headcount. Third factor is going to be really location driven and the movement of on-site, hybrid, remote. A lot of things are happening in that regard. Okay. So the three major factors that we have here, one is outside of your control. 2 out of 3 are not. They are perfectly within your control. Okay. So this is going to be the hardest pill for some people to swallow, is the fact that your career may or may not, likely may, will or is being replaced by a machine. There is very little that is ultra unique to a human being over an extended period of time from where we're at with AI and digital technology. This isn't to say that we don't have anything to the table, and this isn't meant to be a fear-mongering video. It's meant to be an adapting video. It means that AI is going to improve and increase productivity, but you need to be willing to change with it. And this does not exclude you blue-collar folks, okay? Blue-collar, while not heavily impacted yet, is going to be when robotics are added into the equation, which is expected to be give or take in 5 to 10 years. And this is even shown by very, very, very dumb examples that I'm going to give here. But there has definitely been a hit on the frequency of, for instance, house cleaning industry because of robotic vacuums and mops and cleaning mechanisms, right? Like just the frequency needed is less because of that. That's just a simple, dumb example, okay? So this is going to expand to blue collar. It's a matter of when, not if. But we need to adapt to it. It's just like going from the horse and buggy to the automobile, or from pen and paper to computer, and from computers to the size of your room to a supercomputer in your pocket, right? It's going to create a bunch of opportunity, but we need to be willing to adapt to the opportunity. Okay? So, again, learning, changing, adapting, fully within your control. What was the other big factor? Remote, on-site, and hybrid. Also within your control. It has never been easier to relocate. It has never been easier to move. Straight up. That's not saying that you have to, but if you're not willing to, you are removing and hurting yourself in one of the three biggest factors in making this job market more competitive for you. And I will give you my real life example here. So I've talked about it before. I just went through a job search in in August and September, landed my new role ultimately in October. So it took me 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, I sent out over 300 applications, had roughly a 12% response rate. Okay, so I actually ended up with 35 interviews across that cycle. So, sorry, just under technically, like 11 and change. I rounded up, sue me. So roughly a 12% response rate is what I got out of my roughly 300 applications. Then I ended up with 5 simultaneous offers. So again, went from roughly 300 to 35 interviews to 5 offers. 4 out of 5 of those offers required relocation. Only 1 was fully remote. It truly is the secret weapon. You want to know the other side of the equation? 32 out of the 35 also required relocation. So it's one of those things to where, and how I called this out is I did put it in my cover letter every single time. I did a unique cover letter for every single application, but right beneath your contact information on your resume, strategically put willing to relocate immediately. And it would almost always be a conversation starter. And the thing is you don't want to DQ yourself. Okay. So the way that I would frame this would be something simple as, look, I've already talked it over with my wife. We're already packing our bags. We just need to know where we're going and where the opportunity is. So my estimation is it would be somewhere between 30 and 45 days for us to be able to move from offer acceptance until us starting on site. And that is ultra reasonable, and you could require and request a relocation package. That's entirely up to you. But again, know that that's going to be another limiting factor. I didn't need one. I was the one initiating it, not the employer, because I was willing to. Okay. So you got to understand that too, is if you are wanting and willing to relocate, you have a lot less of an argument for relocation package. But the way that I would frame it is if it's company policy or is a company offering, then I would absolutely want to take advantage of it. But if it's not, no qualms, no issues, I'll be there anyway. Okay. So, and especially because it seems like a lot of companies are moving towards much more hybrid. So even if you want the remote side, hybrid is going to be the most common option. So you got to understand that remote is shrinking. Now, I will say, I don't really see the remote side shrinking in the market thus far from a small, medium business. It's mostly the big players, kind of the Fortune 1000-ish. They're the ones that are really mostly shifting to hybrid or on-site. But again, you can't be mad at a lack of opportunity if you're not willing to go for it. Because here's the thing. There is always somebody who's willing to do it. Any sacrifice that you are not willing to make, I promise you there's somebody that is. And that's why that position is being filled by them and not you. So you need to put the ego aside, put things aside, and go to where the opportunities are. It's that simple. Okay? So I don't know that I can beat this horse anymore when it comes to remote, hybrid, and on-site. I know I'm somewhat oversimplifying, but as somebody who in their adult life has lived in 5 different states, it's never been easier. It has never been easier. And it's also never been cheaper. Well, okay, maybe not never been cheaper, because a few years ago it was. Don't get me wrong. So I can't make that statement with a straight face and in full transparency and honesty. It's almost never been cheaper, but it's definitely never been easier. Okay. And you just need to be willing to put your ego aside and not have this attachment to these unnecessary things that are supposedly keeping you where you're at. What, like the genuine question of, well, I can't leave my friends. Why? I can't move away from my family. Why? I can't move 3,000 miles. Why? Yes, you can. You are choosing not to. Okay. I'll get off my soapbox. Okay. So we talked about economy. Put it aside. Out of your control. Now we're talking about. Talked a little bit about the transformation, but I think we've mostly talked about the on-site and hybrid. So the transformation piece. So this is going to be very plain and simple. It is about upskilling, reskilling, making a career transition. Okay. Whether we like it or not, and I'm including myself in this equation, AI will replace at least, my estimation would be 50, we'll go 50%. That's my conservative estimate of fresh graduate entry-level jobs in the next 18 months. Okay. So you need to learn to upskill yourself and augment yourself with AI to be better than a fresh graduate. You need to go the certification route, the industry route, something other than a degree or on top of your degree in order to be closer to real world knowledge than just having that degree and being an entry-level person. You need to know how to level yourself up in that regard, or pick a career that's actually thriving, right? There's the whole meme back in the day, what was it, maybe 10 years ago at this point, the learn to code. That's kind of where we're at. Ironically, directly learning to code is not it, but learning data analysis, large language model training, assembly when it comes to hardware and AI, CPU chips and that sort of component, getting into things of quantum computing. These are the things that you just have to realize, or even being, like a prompt engineer, being someone that can interface with AI and get results out of it better than other people. But ultimately adapting to the landscape. And I'll give you my personal example in the last 24 months, right? So I very quickly realized after ChatGPT's release, AI was going to be the best resume writer, hands down, period, right? So I went out, and obviously at first it wasn't that great, but through it evolving and through me evolving as a prompt engineer, I was able to build a ChatGPT toolkit, something that people could take and leverage on their own for a very, very small fee. And this really shifted the focus of my business and this side hustle, in that I could no longer really make the root and core and bread and butter of my business be resume writing and cover letters, because AI was better. Straight up. I don't know how many resumes I've written. Thousands at this point, between, at least if you were to factor in the amount of drafts. If you go individual people, definitely hundreds, right? Probably pretty close to 1,000 plus on my own. So it's to know that I have that level of real world experience and incredible success rate, but also recognize, like, man, this thing is it's better with words than me, especially when I know how to tell it what I want, who the person that I'm working with and the message we're trying to convey, and get that out of it. It's just better. It's more adaptable, and you can make it way less generic. So I had to rebrand, repivot my entire business, redesign the entire website, overhaul marketing, overhaul branding, and then overhaul my own skill set into being like, look, I need to put less into writing and more into prompting. It was not easy. Did it set me back? Did it hurt my revenue? Did it completely alter my client base and almost be like starting my business over? Yeah, it did. But now I'm better for it. On my day job side, on the IT side, man, things are moving rapidly into a generalist direction where it's not this hyper niche aspect that it used to be, but instead being able to cross over into software development and different things like that, because you can get up to speed much more or have AI augment you in a way that you didn't need those hard skills like you did before to the degree in order to perform that particular job duty. It is being willing and able to put your ego aside, take the temporary hit for the long-term win, whether that temporary hit is to your ego, to your self-perception, to your bottom line, whatever it is, you need to just put it aside and be willing to adapt. Okay? Those are my two big soapboxes for this video. I have a couple other things that I want to talk about that are other common pitfalls that people are getting in their way for. But if you can actually put your ego aside when it comes to relocating and be willing, and even if it's not relocating, let's say you're near an a place with a bunch of on-site or hybrid, be willing to do it. It's not that hard. It's really not. So put your ego aside. Be willing to go on site. Be willing to work hybrid. Okay. Then the other thing is be willing to admit, hey, I need to upskill or I need to reskill and pivot my career entirely. What I'm doing is easily replaceable. It is going away, right? And you wouldn't be the first and you're not going to be the last. And it doesn't say anything about you to make you lesser than that you can be replaced by technology. It happens to every single one of us inevitably. We just need to go, all right, that path is no longer worth it. What's my new path? Okay. All right. Now let's dive into some other things. So these are going to be the other true ego things that are less about the market shifting. All right. So you need to be realistic about what you're qualified for. The amount of recruiters and hiring managers that I have interfaced with and have relationships with, and on top of that, I am also in a hiring cycle looking for people. It's mind-blowing the amount of people that they just ignore the requirements. And so like it seems daunting to be like, oh my God, I have 100 applicants. And then 97 of them are just straight garbage. Not even like me being nitpicky of, oh, they have 80%, not quite 20 or 60%. Do I want to train the 40? Like it's literally like you have 20% of the experience I required and you have 10% of the time that it takes to develop these skills to the degree that I need. And I know that time isn't everything, but like, it's one thing to say, hey, I know you were looking for 4 years, but I achieved it in 2. Fine. But if I say I'm looking for 4 years and you're brand new, never done it before, come on, guy or gal, whatever. All right. So be realistic about what you're qualified for. Stretch yourself. My general rule of thumb is the perfect sweet spot is if you look at a job description and you genuinely meet 70% of those requirements, apply. My range would be 60 to 80. I would almost never advise anyone to apply to 90 to 100. It just doesn't set yourself and the company up for long-term success. So I think that 60 to 80 is the ideal range. 70% is like the perfect number in general. Okay. Now, the next is going to be gauging yourself against competition. So, for instance, there's been a lot of tech layoffs recently. And if you go on LinkedIn, you look at tech professionals who are open to work, right? Because you can search for people that are open to work. You could look by the hashtag open to work, a bunch of different ways you can do that. And look at people in your industry, in your scope, narrow down that filter even more. If you want to get super nerdy about it, you can actually do custom filters on the URL level. Feel free to research that route if you really want to. But get an idea and look at who's being laid off, who's in the market, who is struggling, and accurately gauge yourself to them, right? Look at what certs they have, what experience they have, what skills they have, what's on their profile, what's not on their profile. Do they have recommendations? Like, just look at their overall presentation of themselves and what they're capable of and go, man, where do I actually stand? Again, this is putting your ego aside and just looking at the data and the facts. Okay. And if you see that you're in a line of work where when you randomly spot check 10 LinkedIn profiles of people open to work and you're in like the bottom 20%, you're going to struggle. And this goes back to my thing about upskilling, reskilling, possibly pivoting. Okay. Accurately gauge your competition and be honest. So this isn't just looking at the qualifications of the job and going, do I meet that 60 to 80% benchmark? But also looking at the competition and going, am I competitive? Or did I make the Olympics because 70 people always go and I'm ranked 70th, right? Like, just be genuinely accurate, okay? Put your ego aside for a second. This is going to be a holistic one. That might make some people mad and it might not. But limit your requirements to really only being comp and growth. And comp here, I mean holistically. Benefits package, 401ks, health insurance, bonuses, stock options, like comp, okay? All of comp. If your comp's being met and you have growth opportunity, take it. Again, who cares if it's on-site or hybrid or remote? Who cares what sector it's in? Who cares about other things that do not affect your day-to-day life? Why? Why are you putting unnecessary burdens on yourself? In other economies and markets, again, we can't control the economy, but we can control how we adapt to it. And right now, for those of you that are genuinely struggling, if you can get better and move up in your career and you're going to be paid what you need to be paid to do it, what more do you need? Why are you putting artificial limitations on yourself? Even more unnecessarily, okay? The other thing is some things out there might have comp adjustments to where the industry has realized that they were overpaying. Biggest elephant in the room in this regard is going to be recruiters and talent acquisition. They were inflated out the you-know-what in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So inflated because of the job market and the way it was, okay? Now companies are realizing they weren't getting their ROI. The value proposition was not in their favor, and those salaries have since corrected. The commissions have since corrected. It is what it is, okay? So who cares what you made before? What is your current market value? That's what comp is, okay? Past is irrelevant. And I use this in both directions because who's to say that maybe you weren't 20 grand underpaid at your last position? Do your market research, figure out what modern comp is, and take the modern comp, whether it's holy crap, I was underpaid before, or holy crap, I was overpaid before. Doesn't matter. I had this, my personal adjustment, not recently, but before I used to work for oil and gas. I was literally told by oil and gas I'd be put in golden handcuffs. They would pay me so much money above my market value that I wouldn't want to leave because I couldn't earn it anywhere else. I was legit told that. So when I finally decided to leave that job in that industry in that company, yeah, it was literally a 40% comp hit. I had to eat that, take it on the chin. And the crazy thing is it took me 5 years to get back to that comp. But I had my sanity again. I had my health again. I still had growth opportunity every step along the way. So like, while it didn't hurt my career, it just hurt my wallet. Worth it. Okay? And that's really it. Okay? So if you are somebody who is truly struggling, nickel and dime, not sure what moving forward looks like, or can't figure out how to move forward, or can't get that new job, you've been in the market for 3, 6, 12 months, whatever it might be, put your ego aside. Be willing to go on site. Be willing to go hybrid. Be willing to relocate. Be realistic about what you're qualified for. Accurately measure yourself against your competition and limit your requirements to your total comp package and growth opportunity. Stop artificially hurting yourself and demeaning yourself in the market. Do what you have to do, but stop shooting yourself in the foot or the feet. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. If you like this type of content, you like this video, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe to this channel. Also, we are live on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us there. I'll have the links in the description. If you have comments and you want to add to or spark a discussion about what I'm talking about here, please leave a comment. I respond to every single comment every single time. Check my video history. I kid you not. And if you have feedback on my content itself, I would love that as well. I am always trying to make every single video, all of my content more useful, more valuable, better quality, etc. That is the point in this channel, in this community building. So leave that down in the comments below as well. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. And I hope you get something soon if this video pertained to you as to struggling to find a job. Thank you.